Shalom Aleichem, sisters and brothers, how are you doing? Baruch Hashem, back somewhere, backfire, trying to make it happen, trying to come back to life after this exhausting journey to Texas. Even though it was really wonderful, it was very hard. When I went on the first night, so I wanted to go early. It was Sunday noon that I hoped to be able to leave the house and to go start the journey, but thank God, with the family and everything that was happening, it was kind of complex to leave the house so early, so I had to stay until around 8:30 night, and then I had 15 and a half, almost 16 hours of drive to catch in 24 hours. So I had only like five or like 6 hours to drive or to rest before I'll get to the first station in Dallas. And so I drove into the night, and we stopped in some rest areas along the way, and like around 2-3 a.m. I was like already exhausted. I had to put my head down, and we slept in the car, my son and I, for that night, because we didn't have time to stop by a motel or hotel or something like that. We wanted to finish it already, and it was so it was tense. And then we made it on time. We had an amazing friend, Kim Savran, that was waiting already. Couldn't wait. And the feeling was mutual. I was so happy to see him. This is a friend that I'm considering closer than my brothers to my heart. And really, it was amazing to see him waiting for us. And he told me, by the way, that like he was waiting for 3-4 hours already in the hotel that I will arrive to the place where I gave the class. And he said like 3 hours he was waiting, and he was already like sad and depressed and broken. And then he said, I took a decision, I'll go and wait for you outside. And then immediately when he stepped out of the door, so like I came with my Transformers vehicle. You saw that amazing thing. The Creator works in mysterious ways. He knows that I'm working against the Decepticons, and so he gave us the Bumblebee and Optimus Prime advertised car from the car rental. Like, we asked for a car and we got the Autobots Transformers vehicle, and drove with a smile on our faces. So it was amazing, and that's it. Now we're home. We drove from one city to the next and met amazing people, and it's so beautiful. You can never know how much it means to me when I meet you guys finally, when I see you face to face. It's like very nice profile pictures you have on Facebook and on WhatsApp and on the social media, on YouTube, but it's not the same like to see each other in person. So it's a great adventure. It's a great experience for me, and it's like it's warming their heart. And I was very happy. Many people wanted to buy the new book and asked me to sign for it, and of course that I can understand that it means a lot for them, but like it's kind of overwhelming me to think that people really want me to sign on their book, like whatever. So like it takes me time to process it every time that someone asks me, can you sign my book? Like, yeah, I'll sign your book. But I understand that for you it's meaningful, and it's unfortunately it's because of the distance, the physical distance that that exists in this physical world. Like you live in one state and I'm wandering in the other. But my blessings and my love to you all. You should know that I really care about you, and your souls are precious in my eyes, and it's such a joyful and satisfying feeling to meet you in person, to go and to see you, and to be invited and called to your communities, to your synagogues, and to your houses, and to see how much effort and how much heart you put into. People came from different places and drove for hours to see me and to come to those events, and I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful to you guys and your support, supporting our organization. It's very, very meaningful. It's very, very it gives me the motivation. It gives me a solid, deep understanding that I'm working with you guys, and that you are also on the same page with me. So it's very inspiring. It gave me a lot of strength, and I'm thankful for that. I wanted to read for you a little bit today from a book that is called Likutei Halachot, and there is something very important that Rabbi Natan, the author of this fantastic book, is saying about the Israeli person, what happens with him when he finds himself in the exile, surrounded by people from different nations. And now we know that the Israeli person it's not only the Jewish people, it's every Israeli person. It's every person that his legs were standing under Mount Sinai in time of receiving the blessing of the Torah by God, by Moses. And those 10 lost tribes are still walking with us. And you might be one of those people, and sometimes it's hard for you to recognize yourself. You find it hard to know your true identity and the real purpose of your life, because people calls you John or Cindy or whatever. And in reality you don't know who you are. You know your parents, you know your grandparents, but not much more than that. So it's very important to make the investigation, who am I? From what I hear, people that are searching today, who am I? They're searching physically. They're going to make a DNA test to see if they have some Sephardi bloodline, if they have some Ashkenazi bloodline. Okay, it's good, but I'll tell you something else. For an example, you have a certain nature inside of you, a certain passion, a certain desire for something. So from that inner passion of yours, you can learn about your nature. It can teach you and guide you and explain to you more about who you are, about your identity, even if you find it still blur or under certain shade that you still cannot find and recognize exactly the answer to the question of who am I, who you are. But I'll tell you, for an example, if you are thirsty for water, so it means that water satisfies you. Okay, so you are a creation that is being fed and enjoyed water by water. Water is good for you. If you're breathing, so you don't need to make much thinking to understand that you are a creation that breathes. Now, if you are a person that the nation of Israel is important to you, okay, one day you open your eyes and you realized, hey, I love those people. And okay, and you live in the Netherlands, you live in Afghanistan, you're a Christian that lives in Humble, Texas. Okay, so Humble, Texas. So, okay, ask yourself, why do I love Israel? Why do I love them? You hear verses, you hear stories about the Holy Land of Israel, about the Promised Land, you hear about the redemption, you hear about like quotes from the Bible, about the sages, you hear stories and you feel so attached and attracted to it, and it fills you from within with passion and with satisfaction. Like, why? I'm asking you, like, answer that simple question. Why? If your answer is I don't know, so I'll answer you, because that's your true nature. You need water to live. You need oxygen, air to live. And also if you need Torah to live, it means that your system inside is a system that requires Torah, that is in a need for Torah. And if the Torah revives you, if the knowledge about Israeli concepts, about the Holy Land, is giving you happiness and joy, it means that you have an inner connection to those topics and to those issues. And it means that you are one of those lost tribes. Even if you don't remember, try to think about it. How can it be that you might be a lost Israeli soul? For an example, think about it. 3,000 years ago, there was a huge war, and the Assyrian, the kingship of Ashur, exiled huge amounts of people, 10 tribes out of 12 from the Israeli nation, to across the border of Israel toward Syria and Iraq. And from that place, through the years, the families, the lost tribes, has been separated and went to different directions. One family ran away because there was quiet that night and they found a way out, so they ran for their life. Another huge group worked for 200 years and became a whole community that was separated and isolated in a certain location in Africa. And since that day and on, after that, those rulers, those governors, those officers that were controlling them, after 200-300 years over there, they disappeared. Suddenly they didn't have the power anymore, so they just started to live their life over there. And they could not find a way back to the Holy Land of Israel, and they stayed in the exile. And there they established villages and countries and cities. Another group found their opportunity to cross the sea on boats, on ships that sailed, and they found themselves in Europe, they found themselves in Asia. And that's how, like, you became who you are today without even remembering that you are from those lost tribes. And every individual that left the group and went and established his life in a different land might be an Israeli soul, and only the Creator himself, who knows all the mysteries, who remembers everything above time, he will one day remind you of your legacy, of your family tree, and going to tell you, hey, you're from the tribe of Zvulun, you're from the tribe of Asher, you're from the tribe of Yisachar, of Naphtali, and that's you. And also, except for that, many of the Jewish people from the tribe of Yehuda also lost their way in so many situations during the history. And you might even be considered as Jewish, even if you don't have the diploma, the certificate to wave to everyone, say, yeah, me, I'm Jewish, yeah, my mother was Jewish, my father was Jewish. No, like, you don't know, but you are Jewish. Maybe the halacha, the Jewish rule, required you to go through a certain process of conversion, but it still does not mean that you are not Jewish. Maybe some processing needs to happen with you, but it does not mean that you are not from the tribes of Israel, from the nation of Israel. So the Israeli person, who is he? He is that person that his legs were standing under Mount Sinai when we received the Torah, and when we heard about the oral Torah from those amazing prophets that reminded us of the real true connection we have with God. So if you find yourself today in our generation of the 2020s, that your heart is seeking for Torah, that your spirit is desiring knowledge about Hashem and about mitzvot and about obligations, and when you see a Jewish book or a Jewish person, it brings the chill, it makes you excited. Listen, dear brother, dear sister, it means something. It's not an empty thing. The fact you don't have a paper to prove it does not make your nature not to be part of this amazing oak, of that amazing tree of life, the souls of Israel. So, all that introduction about the souls of Israel, for you to believe that you are Israeli souls, for you to recognize your Israeli blood and spirit that lives inside of you, to tell you those wonderful words that Rabbi Natan said about the soul of an Israeli person. So, something happens when the person from Israel, an Israeli person, is coming to the exile. He finds himself in the exile. So in every place when he arrives to that place, they're suffering because there are sparks over there and Holy Spirits that been rejected and spread to those places because of the sin of the first men and because of the sins of all the generations until today. And those spirits and those souls and sparks are waiting and hoping always that an Israeli person will come to their place, and immediately when he comes to that place, that Israeli person, so they're falling on him and surrounding him and holding themselves to him, grabbing him for him to fix them, because his spirit, the spirit of the Israeli person, is a flaming fire, like a bonfire. Think about a bonfire. And the wood that they want you to burn them. They want to be burnt in the fire. The fire is rising to the sky and brings and elevate the holy sparks, rising and uplifting them to heavens. And the wood, they're just like lying over there and being rotten without a purpose to their life. And when they see the bonfire, when they see the holy fire, they like have that crazy passion and desire to become one with the fire, because they know that that is their completion. That will be their success, their eternal success. That will be the way for them to elevate and to rise back to their source, their spiritual source, and to live physicality that they're attached to and stuck in. So when those sparks are recognizing a flaming walking torch, a flaming soul that is belong to an Israeli person, so they are surrounding him and grabbing, holding themselves onto him for him to fix them by the simple things that you're doing. When you sit and learn Torah, you do something good. When you watch a class online, you're doing something good. You're elevating the sparks. When you're eating something and then you use the power of that eating to do something in purity, something in Kedusha, like praying, like talking words of wisdom to people, and like even supporting your family and working your business and doing things that are in with pure mindset. All those sparks that have been attached to you are enjoying that spiritual development of yours, and they're rising with you up to heaven. So, because that those sparks were until now stuck and neglected between the nations and between the husks that were grabbing them and attaching them to physicality very much, so by that there are great suffering to the Israeli person when he arrives to that place. Why? Because also those husks and also all those physical forces that are holding those sparks back, they also want to be fixed, and they are very heavy, they are very complex, they are very negative. And therefore, the Israeli person finds himself with all those foreign thoughts and evil and bad negative thoughts and confusions in his mind. And they are coming from those husks that are holding those holy sparks that are trapped over there, because they see that those sparks are willing to be fixed. So they are holding strong to those sparks because those husks cannot be fixed and they don't have a source of life. So they're stealing and taking the life in force and in power, impulsing themselves on those holy sparks to take life out of them. But when you are coming, when the Israeli person is coming and walking between those sparks, and all the sparks start running and jumping toward the Israeli person for him to fix them. So all those husks, all those dark forces are trying to grab those sparks and trying to fight with that Israeli person and putting all the negative thoughts and the confusions to the mind of the Israeli person because they want to be fixed by him. It's like putting too many woods on the fire. Because those trees, those woods that we mentioned before, they also want to join into the bonfire and also wants to be fixed and to rise spiritually up to heaven. So they're jumping into the fire, another one and another one. What happens? The fire slowly is suffering. There is not enough oxygen. It's suffocating. It's getting smaller, and there is way more smoke and less fire and less ability to the sparks to rise and shine. Ve'ikar, and the main time that those husks are trying to fight with that Israeli person is when he is dealing with something that is connected to purity. That will be the time for them to be fixed, and that will be the time of redemption and salvation of all those sparks from the nations and the husks that are surrounding them. And it's all written in books of Kabbalah and in books of Rabbi Nachman of Breslev and in the books of the Ari Kadosh. So from that you should understand, why is it so hard for you to open a book? Why is it so hard for me to open the Siddur book and to pray? Why is it so hard for me to go out to the field and do Hitbodedut? Why it's so hard to make a Kiddush for Shabbat evening? Why it's so hard to prepare for Purim? Why it's so hard to go to the mikveh? Why it's so complex to put tefillin? Because when you're doing it, you're fixing the world, and those sparks are desiring to join you, but the husks and that aspect of nations and forces of darkness wants to prevent you from your completion, from your tikkun, from that amazing achievement. Because when you're gonna elevate those sparks, they're gonna lose their life source, because they're leeching themselves to the holy sparks of purity. That is the source of life of the Creator that been given to the nation that been chosen and blessed by the Creator to carry the truth, and that is the nation of Israel. And again, I'm going to remind you, sometimes even against the opinion of my colleagues, that the nation of Israel is not only the Jewish people. The nation of Israel are all the tribes, all completion of all the individuals that went lost, and their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren until today. We are all the nation of Israel, and we're all about to be redeemed, and we're all together in an equal way, and we should all love each other and respect each other and understanding each other, and having patience and full respect to each other. And we all should follow the rules of the Torah and to follow the rules of the Halakha, and to open the doors for more people to be able to convert and to join the Jewish people in their holy work. May the Creator bless us, help us to support the poor and our friends on days of Purim that is actually starting tomorrow night. Help us and support our project for us to be able to support as many people as possible that we know that they are in great need. And may the Creator bless us all with an amazing Purim. Of course, I'm gonna do my best to read the Megillah of Purim live at tomorrow night and Tuesday noon. And of course, we're going to speak and talk and going to have a lot of fun together, Bezrat Hashem, as much as we're able to on social media. And may the Creator bless us with joy, happiness, and satisfaction from life, and that we won't lack one thing, and that there will be no one left behind. Thank you. Bless you. The world does not exist. Because Olam Milshon Ne'elem, the world is just blocking the light of truth. The world called Alma Deshika, world of light, is just a fake. We're just inside of an illusion. It's just a fake. We're just inside of an illusion.